At the very peak of television history, when Jim Parsons stood as the unstoppable force behind Sheldon Cooper, something unimaginable happened behind the scenes. For 12 record-breaking seasons, the world watched The Big Bang Theory, laughing at Sheldon's quirks, quoting his lines, celebrating his genius. The show pulled in nearly 18 million viewers every week, and Parsons, its beating heart, became the highest-paid actor on television, banking $1 million per episode while redefining modern comedy. So why would a man standing on top of the world suddenly walk away? Why turn down a future worth $50 million? Why abandon a character that made him a global icon? Most fans think it was burnout, or boredom, or simply time to move on. But the truth goes deeper, so deep that it shook Jim Parsons to his core. Because behind the laughter, behind the fame, and behind the billion-dollar empire, there was one moment, one breaking point, one infamous scene that changed everything. In 2018, during the long break between season 11 and season 12, Jim Parsons entered one of the darkest, most overwhelming periods of his life. He and his husband, Todd Spiewak, were facing the devastating decline of one of their beloved dogs, a dog they had raised together for 14 years, practically their entire adult lives together. While navigating this emotional storm, Jim was also performing 8 Broadway shows a week in The Boys in the Band in New York City, while flying back and forth to Los Angeles whenever The Big Bang Theory required him. The schedule was relentless. The weight of responsibility was crushing. During one emotional walk in the park, just before he needed to shoot a commercial, Jim looked at his sick dog and felt himself fall apart. His husband reminded him they had obligations, work commitments, schedules, people counting on him. But Jim couldn't hold the guilt anymore. He broke down and cried because despite his fame, despite his achievements, despite all the success in the world, he couldn't be where he needed to be with the creature that had loved him unconditionally for 14 years. The very next day, they made the heartbreaking decision to let their dog go peacefully at home. Jim expected the pain to fade, but it didn't. And before he had time to breathe, another blow struck. Just days after losing his dog, while performing another show on Broadway, he fractured his foot. The injury was serious, but he finished the performance anyway, limping through the pain, because that's what everyone expected of Jim Parsons: perfection, dedication, reliability. Only later in the hospital did fear hit him. The human body is fragile. It breaks without warning. And for someone whose entire career depended on movement, poise, and physical performance, it was a terrifying realization. That fear stayed with him. It whispered questions he didn't want to think about. What if he couldn't perform anymore? What if his body failed him? What if everything he built suddenly slipped out of his hands? But what came next was even darker. In 2018, Jim Parsons turned 45, and at that age, he suddenly began thinking about something he had spent years trying to ignore: the age his father died. Jim Parsons' father passed away at 52, and suddenly, Jim found himself counting the years. If he signed another contract for The Big Bang Theory, he would be 47 when it ended, only 5 years younger than the age his father never reached. Mortality hit him like a tidal wave. He wasn't superstitious. He wasn't paranoid. He was simply human, and humans think about the clock. Time, life, what's left, what's worth spending it on. It terrified him. He wondered whether he really wanted to spend the rest of those precious years on the same set, performing the same role, repeating the same rhythms. Meanwhile, his husband Todd Spiewak wanted them to focus more on their production company. That's Wonderful Productions, which already had a major deal with Warner Brothers Television. But Jim was never available. Between filming The Big Bang Theory in Los Angeles, performing Broadway in New York, shooting Netflix's Hollywood, and fulfilling commercial contracts like Intel, he barely had time to breathe. He was exhausted, physically, emotionally, mentally. His body was breaking down. His mind was fading. His spirit was drained. And when he finally asked himself whether he could give more years to The Big Bang Theory, the answer was clear: no. In August 2018, after carrying the decision in his chest like a weight, he returned to Los Angeles and went to see Chuck Lorre, co-creator of The Big Bang Theory, at his home. Jim Parsons told him he couldn't sign on for more seasons, and Chuck Lorre, fully understanding the reality, didn't beg, didn't push, didn't plead. He accepted it, and both men knew what that meant. The show could not continue without Sheldon Cooper. The character was the cornerstone of the entire premise. No Sheldon meant no show. A few days later, Jim gathered Johnny Galecki, Kaylee Cuoco, Simon Helberg, Kunal Nayar, Mayim Bialik, and Melissa Roach in his dressing room after a table read. It was emotional. It was painful. Some of them felt blindsided, especially Johnny Galecki, who later admitted he wished Jim had told the cast before going to the creators. They were a family, but even those who were hurt eventually understood. Jim was the only one brave enough to say what they were all starting to feel. On August 22, 2018, CBS officially announced that Season 12 would be the final season of The Big Bang Theory, ending the longest-running multicam sitcom in television history. Not because of ratings, not because of lack of story, but because Jim Parsons chose himself, his life, his time, his future for years. Headlines shouted that he turned down $50 million. But Jim later clarified that there hadn't even been an official contract. He didn't reject a number. He walked away before anyone could put a number in front of him. And he walked away because the story of Sheldon Cooper was already complete. Sheldon had grown, loved, married Amy Farrah Fowler, won a Nobel Prize, and finally became a fully rounded human being. Jim once compared it to a beautiful novel. You don't add random chapters, just because readers want more. The finale was a massive global moment. 18.5 million people watched it live. Millions more streamed it afterward. It became one of the most emotional scripted finals of the decade. And though Jim was terrified he had made the wrong choice, he later admitted he has never regretted it. To understand why, you need to know who Jim Parsons was before the fame. Born in Houston, raised in Spring, Texas, he was a theater kid from childhood. He knew at age 6 he wanted to act. He performed in school plays. He lived and breathed theater at the University of Houston. After graduate school at the University of San Diego's Old Globe Theater, he moved to New York City, where he struggled for years. He auditioned for 15 to 30 pilots. None took off. He survived on small roles in Ed, Garden State, and Judging Amy. By 2006, after years of struggling in New York and surviving on tiny roles, Jim Parsons finally encountered the audition that would change television forever. When he first read the script for The Big Bang Theory, he felt something unusual. It wasn't that he saw himself in Sheldon Cooper. He actually didn't. What he connected to was the rhythm of the dialogue, the sharpness, the precision. When he walked into the audition room, he delivered a performance so perfectly timed, so specifically crafted, that creator Chuck Lorre immediately stopped and asked him to come back again. Not because Jim wasn't good enough, but because he was almost too good. Chuck needed to be sure what he witnessed wasn't a what-I'm miracle. Jim returned, repeated the audition beat for beat with the same brilliance, and the rest truly became history. Even while conquering television and becoming the face of one of the biggest sitcoms ever made, Jim never abandoned the world of theater. His heart belonged to the stage. From The Normal Heart to Harvey to An Act of God to The Boys in the Band, he constantly returned to live performance. It was raw, human, immediate, and nothing like the repetitive schedule of a long-running sitcom. That deep theatrical passion played a major role in his decision to eventually step away from The Big Bang Theory, because theater demanded freedom, time, and emotional space, things Jim no longer had. Yet even after he left the show, his connection to the Big Bang universe remained unbreakable. He narrated and executive produced Young Sheldon, appearing physically in the series finale. He helped shape new spin-offs like Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage on CBS, and the ambitious multiverse comedy Stuart Fails to Save the Universe on HBO Max, a project that opens the door for alternate versions of Sheldon and Leonard. Jim insists he won't return, but fans continue to speculate. Meanwhile, Jim has thrived beyond the sitcom world, earning praise in Hollywood, moving audiences in Spoiler Alert, and returning to Broadway in productions like Mother Play, which earned him a Tony Award nomination. He didn't disappear. He evolved, and that's the truth of this entire story. Jim Parsons didn't walk away from The Big Bang Theory because he didn't care. He walked away because he finally realized he had given the character, the show, and the fans everything, and now he needed to give something back to himself. In the end, Jim Parsons' choice wasn't about fame or fortune, it was about life, time, and the courage to start anew. If this story moved you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful Hollywood truths. Thanks for watching.